Another thing that I found on there, I believe it's a copy pasta about something called the rake. Um, you probably don't know about that or what that is. I'm just going to link you to this, and if you don't want to be able to sleep well tonight, just read through it.
Okay, I like creepy
Oh,
pasta.
Jesus, even the picture's rough.
The picture
That's one of the good Reddits I like. It's called No Sleep. It's like spooky stories.
I guarantee this is pretty high up there on No Sleep somewhere along the way. But it's yeah. Go to
I've
Creepypasta.
definitely been on this site before. Yeah, I might
Check
have
out the,
feel
the
like
rake
I'm-
story.
Maybe on this. I don't know. Is there spelunking involved?
I scanned it, and
Okay.
essentially there's a few stories involving what's sort of like a Mothman type monster that people have reported over a long period of time.
Got
And
me
they all describe it
curious.
similarly. And there's one story in particular of a woman. Should I read it? It's horrific. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving. So my husband and I put the kids right to bed, called it a night. At about 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my husband had gotten up to use the restroom. I used the moment to steal back the sheets, only to wake him in the process. I apologized and told him I thought that he had gotten out of bed. When he turned to face me, he gasped and pulled his feet up from the end of the bed so quickly his knee almost knocked me out of the bed. He then grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for a half second, I was able to see what caused the strange reaction. At the foot of our bed, sitting and facing away from us, there was what appeared to be a naked man or a large, hairless dog of some sort. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. For some reason, I was not instantly frightened by it, but more concerned as to its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption that we were supposed to help it. My husband was peering over his arm and knee, tucked into the fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed and then crawled quickly in a flailing sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot from my husband's face. The creature was completely silent for about 30 seconds, probably closer to 5. It just seemed like a while. Just looking at my husband, the creature then placed its hand on his knee and ran to the hallway leading to the kids' rooms. I screamed and I ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he hurt my children. When I got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it, crouching and hunched over about 20 feet away. He turned over and looked directly at me, covered in blood. I flipped the switch to the wall and saw my daughter, Clara. The creature ran down the stairs while my husband and I rushed to help our daughter. She was very badly injured and spoke only once more in her short life. She said, "He is the rake." My husband drove his car into a lake that night while rushing our daughter to the hospital. They did not survive. Being in a small town, news got around pretty quickly. The police were helpful at first, and the local newspaper took a lot of interest as well. However, the story was never published, and the local television really never followed up either. This goes on for a while, but
It's not too much longer. Finish.
okay.
Finish it up. Finish it up.
For several months, my son Justin.
I want to do a whole episode where we read spooky pasta.
For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I decided to look for answers myself. I eventually located a man in the next town over who had a similar story. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. He knew of 2 other people in New York who had seen the creature we now referred to as the rake. It took the 4 of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and writing letters to come up with a small collection of what we believed to be accounts of the rake. None of them gave any details, history, or follow-up. One journal had an entry involving the creature in its first 3 pages and never mentioned it again. A ship's log explained nothing of the encounter, saying only that they were told to leave by the rake. That was the last entry in the log. There were, however, many instances where the creature's visits were one of a series of visits with the same person. Multiple people also mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the rake had visited any of us before our last encounter. I set up a digital recorder near my bed and I left it running all night, every night, for 2 weeks. I would tediously scan through the sounds of me rolling around in my sleep each day when I woke up. By the end of the second week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blurring through the recording at 8 times the normal speed. This still took almost an hour every day. On the first day of the third week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the rake. I can't listen to it long enough to even begin to transcribe it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet. All I know is that I've heard it before, and now I believe that it spoke when it was sitting in front of my husband. I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason, the voice on the recorder immediately brings me back to that moment. The thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I have not seen the rake since he ruined my life, but I know that he has been in my room while I slept. I know and fear that one night I'll wake up and I'll see him staring at me.
Ooh, spooky.
I like
Yeah, that's
it.
a good story. I'm gonna fucking read more creepypasta. I'm in the mood to be spooked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I didn't care for that.
No, I like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I only scanned it the first time through. I didn't stop because I didn't think it was entertaining. I was just done.
Really?
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
care for that. It's the image. The image of the rake. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Smeagol. I'm leaning much more close to horrible and tragic than I am hilarious and entertaining, because I'm with you. The combination. First of all, I've come off of a tube before, just a regular inner tube. It's impossible for me to say how fast we were going, but I was skipping. You know, like it was going fast. It felt fast to me. Let's say 30,
Or more,
maybe
yeah,
not. Yeah, 30 easy. It was, you know, it was the boat's going fast, and I'm back there like skipping along on this thing. And when I came loose, I skipped a little before I actually broke the water surface. Now, put me 15 feet in the fucking air and add another 10 miles per hour, and I feel like I could eat shit and break my neck.
You really could. The game we used to play on Lake of the Ozarks, which is where people around here in the Midwest go to tubing and shit, is we used to have a game where we had a big tube, like a really, really big one. It was a 3-person tube. And so 2 of us would get on there and each have like one arm grabbing. And then the whole ride was trying to knock the other person off of the tube.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It was a blast, especially when you're the biggest
I was gonna say,
12-year-old
I
in
feel
Missouri.
like Taylor's gonna beat everybody.
It was great. Like my friends or younger brother would be on there, they like slap me, and it's like and then I just grab their wrist and remove it. And then they just it's like, oh, Taylor wins again. It was
It's like a
oh.
man against a woman or a child.
Yeah.
Just like
I
That
can't
was
help
so
but get
much
that.
fun.
But get that lassophobia, you know, the fear of the
Mhm.
murky deep. When you come off the raft and you're sitting there floating with your life jacket out in that murky water, waiting on the boat to come back and get you, and it's just you there, and you start getting these images of like, what if something bit my foot right now? Like,
Mhm.
what if even if like a catfish just nipped me a little, I would be filled with so much terror. And then, of course, my mind starts going to like, you've seen alligator gar in here, like. They're not the kind of thing that would eat a person, but they're the kind of thing that would bite a person and mutilate their leg a little bit, and it'd be fucked up.
Yeah, they'll take a couple toes off.
They have these long snouts full of sharp teeth, kind of like
I'll show
Google
people.
alligator gar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you start thinking, they found a piranha in this lake a few years ago, an actual fucking Amazonian piranha that someone must have just thrown in the fucking lake, and if they found one.
Then
they
there's
didn't
more.
find
Yeah.
they didn't find the only piranha in Lake Hartwell. Okay, the lake is
Wait,
miles
Lake
and
Hartwell?
miles and miles.
That's where we're going.
Oh, it's a big lake. Yeah. It's good fun.
The time I remember the
there's
most
piranha
of
in there.
being spooked was at in the Lake of the Ozarks. Once I got knocked off and I fell off the tube, and you know, you just wait there and you bob up and down and you
Mhm.
wait for people to circle around. And I felt I still remember the feeling. Like it spooked me so much. Like I felt on the whole bottom of my foot, not just part, like my whole bottom of my foot. I felt suction. I felt something touch the whole bottom of my foot and like grab a little bit. And I shook around and like in the water waiting, just being like, come back, please come back, I'm afraid now. And it didn't come back, but that was it. And I don't think I tubed anymore that day. that scared the absolute shit out of me.
I gotta-
Because I got in and I was like, something grabbed my foot, like something like sucked up against the bottom of my foot. They're like, Taylor, you're being a retard. There's nothing that's gonna do that in here. Like, no, something did though.
Something did though.
Did.
Yeah.
I
can be
got a
scary
couple,
out there.
dude. So I've got wildlife ones like that, right? Like I used to go surfing by the pier. The pier impacts the way the waves come in, so it's a good place to go surfing. But it's a fishing pier, so they'd be pulling the sharks out of the water. But the fishing pier is like 20 feet in the air, and they fall back in. Now you just saw a shark here with you, like 100 feet away. And it starts spinning through your head like, yeah, I'm on the board. My feet are hanging down. They all tell you look like a seal and you know, to a shark from the bottom. And I'm like, I'm looking like a seal. These sharks don't eat seal. I'm in New Jersey. But, you know, like that kind of thing. But the worst ever, I had a jet ski growing up.
But hang on a minute. Let me dispute that little point you just made. It's not like the shark's going to be like, look, a seal. No, Larry, we're in Jersey.
They may have never seen a seal before was where I was headed with that. Like, because they're like, they haven't also been to California. But so I'm jet skiing in the bay, and there's a nuclear power plant here. And the cooling station is discharging the hot water into the bay. That's what it did. And people in Jersey probably know exactly where it is, like by Marmora. Anyway, I fall off my jet ski, and the water is hot. It's like a bathtub where you only turned on the hot. And I'm like, what's gonna happen to me? The jet ski zoom, and then it starts making a circle like 70 feet from me. And I'm like, fuck! Like, this is a major problem. And you know, like, I don't catch it on the first circle, and I'm just like burning. And the air has like less oxygen here. There's no fish. You're fine. There's no living fish in this part of the water, but
for good reason.
Yeah. But and then like on the second turn, I get on the jet ski and they were still running, doing these laps, and I caught it and left. But that was the most frightened I've been in the water, in the burning nuclear water.
We were in Jekyll Island, and it's flat there. Like you start walking out into the ocean, and you just seemingly keep walking.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it's waist deep for 200 yards, and then it's chest deep for like another 200. And after a while, you're so far out that like, yeah, I see the people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're out there hunting for conch shells. Are you familiar with these? The big seashells.
Yeah.
Like. And the only way to find them is to step on them, and you know, gingerly sort of stepping. But every now and then one would poke you, and you'd know for sure that your foot was bleeding. And so there we are in this nipple deep, murky fucking water, way out there, like easily 300 yards, easily, maybe 4. And my buddy and I, it occurs to us that like, we're in the murky water, so murky that a handful of it you can't see. It's nasty. It looks like lake water. We're in this murky fucking water, and I want to say there's a forest fire that week, so it was even worse. Our feet are bleeding, and we've got armfuls of shellfish. We're like a seafood dinner out here. Like, we gotta go back. We gotta go back. Those shells stunk so much. We put them in a garbage bag and drove them all the way back to fucking Northeast Georgia. And I just remember opening the bag when I got home and oh God, no. I left them out in the garden for like months until the conch had rotted out of them. I wonder where they are. Can you imagine growing up, like getting hurt in a time where the bone saw was the doctor's most common implement?
Dude, I would be. I've broken every limb at this point. Do you know what I would look like? I'd be a worm.
You wouldn't be Woody. You'd be Stumpy.
Yeah.
No, he'd be Woody. He'd be the guy with 2 wooden legs.
You'd be like
Lieutenant Dan.
Oh, come Woody. He'll never sink.
When I broke my left arm, to set it, they had a thing that was basically, you know, the Chinese finger toys. You put your hands in, and when you pull them, they get tighter. It was a device like that. It was for 6 fingers. I'm not sure why, but it had like 6 little finger traps. They put your hand in it, and then they put weights on your bicep, and it just pulls your forearm apart. That's
interesting.
That's how they set bones.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find like I've been reading a bunch of horror anthology books and shit recently. I bought the Necronomicon, the compilation of all of H.P. Lovecraft's his short stories. Like any anthology book, a lot of hits, a lot of misses. What's a purportedly true story, Wendigoon, that you would point me to that has a shit ton of lore around it that might actually scare me? It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be demonic. It could be anything in your like the spooky realm you inhabit.
A true story, though, right?
Yeah, something that like I could look to it, and it could even be like we don't even know why this happened, but it did.
The ones that always freak me out are disappearance cases, like got into thin air type things. I recently did one about the Yuba County 5. That case freaks me out a lot, but I think I have a decent explanation for it. It's not a fun answer, but it's like something that doesn't involve supernatural, right?
Is that like a murderer case?
Maybe. It's 5 guys went up into the mountains under very weird circumstances. They were never supposed to go up there. It's a long story. But 4 of them, their bodies end up being found. 1 disappeared. A lot of beliefs are that the one who disappeared was the guy who murdered. I made a video about it recently. I don't think that's what happened. Instead, I think that he was forced off the mountain. I think the boys were chased by someone up there, which isn't a fun answer. That doesn't make you feel better, but it's not explicitly supernatural like a lot of explanations around those stories tend to be. Some of the ones that I would say are more creepy in their unexplained nature are the case of Dennis Martin. I made a video about that, and my conclusion at the end was like, oh, who knows? Like,
I don't know, but it's scary, isn't it, guys?
Anyway, that's weird. See y'all next week. Yeah. The case of Dennis Martin's up there. The case. What was that boy? Hold on. Let me type this in real quick.
You're good.
Boy.
Dennis Martin.
Missing.
Such an innocent name.
Yeah, he was 6, I think. He was 5 or 6.
Oh.
Garrett Bardsley. That's the other one I was thinking of. This was a Boy Scout. He was out on a fishing trip with his father. I can get into the details of these if you want, but if you just want the names, Garrett Bardsley, Dennis Martin, and then there's one more. Carried. I can put in like the highlights of the case, and typically it will pull up. Jared Atadero, Spanish. So Jared Jaryd, and then Atadero Atadero. Those are ones that it's kind of like, yeah, Taylor, go read that and tell me what you think, because I have no idea. That's weird. That's creepy. So the into thin air stuff tends to mess with me a lot, because typically the like details around it are so bizarre that it's like, I don't know, maybe his entire family decided to kill him for no reason. That's the only thing that could make sense in a lot of these. The unexplained stuff tends to keep me up at night. So yeah, I have fun.
I wrote all those down. I'm going to look into all.
What about the
little Jared, Garrett, and Dennis?
What about the events that Fire in the Sky are based on? That logger from Oregon or wherever who was disappeared for multiple days, 3 to 5 or something. All of his buddies saw the light. They were all out there working, logging. He got separated, went to investigate the light, goes missing days later, naked, and passed the polygraph for whatever that means,
Yeah.
But still passed it, and says he was abducted by aliens and they did gruesome experiments on him.
So that's another one of those cases that's kind of like, yeah, I mean, whatever you think. Like it's such bizarre circumstances, I can't pin it down. I haven't researched that one the way I would like a video topic, because I haven't made it. But from what little I do know about that case, my idea around it was always either an intense psychosis, like from him, like maybe he decided to fake the lights in order to trick his friends and then like make up this whole story or whatever, either out of some level of wants to be famous, I guess, or psychosis, like I said. But even then, that's exactly, come on.
When you say
that's
fake,
pushing it.
fake the lights, what is? Can you
Exactly.
backfill me?
Like
with
I
the
got a
story?
little experience in pyrotechnics and such. I'd have a hard time fooling y'all that the aliens were over the hill.
Yeah, exactly.
So in this story, there were alien lights, or supposed alien lights that people claim to have seen.
Oh yeah, Kyle knows.
Like
Like
multiple
again, I haven't researched him well. Kyle probably knows
There
the
was
details
a
better than I
bright light over the hill, like a blinding light that they didn't want to investigate because all the other grown men were afraid. And this guy's like, ho, 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 and runs off and doesn't show up for days. And when he comes back, he's like naked in a phone booth somewhere calling 911. But yeah,
The aliens are incredibly sexually aggressive.
they were. If you watch that scene, it's so upsetting because they're very matter of factly like. It's like when you see the crocodile hunter with an animal, like, oh, look at this, fucking measure, staple this through its fucking ear. Yeah, they don't feel pain like we do. Fucking roll him over. Let's shove a finger or two up his ass. See what? Yeah, it's the cloaca. Yeah, yeah, she's almost ready. yeah. Did you wash your hands? Fuck it. Roll her over.
You're like being peeled alive on an alien table, screaming, and they're like, "That's just air." Releasing from its lungs. You just feel a sense of pressure, like a fish. Like, you're just stop that, and it's like, wow.
See how it's all high pitched like that? Yeah, that's air escaping. They breathe it. Yeah, I know.
And then the big inhale, that's air escaping back in for another escape.
It escapes the other way. No, that scene in the movie is one of the scariest movie scenes ever. Like it's terrifying.
It's one thing for someone to have you and want to inflict pain on you because they understand it, but to be kidnapped by something that doesn't even have the concept of pain, that's just there and treating you like another, like, I don't know, like a chunk of aluminum to be ored out or like an animal to be weighed and measured and cataloged. It's real scary. And the actor and so the aliens don't look like super realistic or anything, but they're scary. They're scary to look at. Like they have those, it's the traditional gray aliens with the big heads and everything, but something about them is more predatory and mean, for lack of a better word. It's like they're aggressively, like at one point he's like, "Arr!" And one of them's like, oh yeah, give me a handful of this brown muck to shove into its mouth. And he's just like,
okay, well, that's
awful.
not even science. Can you imagine if you had
science
a lemur,
we can't understand?
if you had like a lemur on a table that you're torturing, and you're like, we need to get the information from this lemur's biology and its metrics, and it's just like, and you're just like, no, that's obnoxious. Put this quickcrete in its mouth. Shut it up. Like, no, now it's not even science anymore. That's just that's just Saw 6. Like when they really lost the plot.
That's just mean. That's all that is.
I like the idea that to the lemur, a syringe, they're just like, he's just poking us with a sharp stick over and over. Like they don't see any scientific benefit to you stabbing them over and over. So when the thing like puts a handful of axle grease in his mouth, which is what it looks like. It's like they have no idea that this is this is magical axle grease. It tells us everything you need to know about a human.
10 out of 10 lemurs hate having their eyelids cut off and mascara smeared into it.
We had to know if it was going to sting.
We did. We had to know.
we had educated guess, but
turns out
new from L'Oreal. Tested on the sensitive of lemur eyes.
It turns out 10 out of 10 lemurs hate it for some reason.
We give it 8 out of 9 terrified lemurs.
I feel like we should really limit our bad animal testing to reptiles. We've got a ton of reptiles. No one cares about them.
What did a reptile do to you?
Yeah, right.
Would you prefer monkeys?
Have products that are no? If we only test on reptiles, then we only have products that are safe for reptiles.
Are there any other horrid stories like that I might be misremembering?
I don't know that you misremember. I like the stories about there was a salt mine that filled with water. Because it was like built under a fucking lake inexplicably. But then the terrifying part, besides if you're a salt miner being drowned like hundreds of feet below the earth, but the people who were in the lake, like joy boating, suddenly a whirlpool like in the cartoons opened up in this lake that started drawing everything down into it, and you're going down into a salt mine deep within the earth if you get sucked in there. And it sucked huge swaths of land up, and I don't remember if any boats with people on them got sucked in or not.
Dude.
But
well, you said with people, so I'm
I know
not sure
some
if
boats
boats did, but what was impressive to me was like trees were getting sucked down there. You're like, well, the earth isn't going to get sucked down by the whirlpool. And then sure enough, the trees' root systems would break free. And these trees were 75 feet tall, 100 feet tall.
It was a huge volume of
estimating big things. Yeah. And so you watch a 100-foot tree get sucked into the lake, and it's like, holy shit, it doesn't come back.
Yeah. I saw one about some mine in England. I think it was like copper and tin. And they had, the way you got back out of the mine is they had these two reciprocating poles with steps on them. So you'd grab one pole and put on the step, and it would lift you up 10 feet. And then you stepped off onto the other pole, and it would reciprocate and go up. So they're always going like this. And the miners doing this like jump back and forth thing. This is before elevators were invented. But that system broke off and fell hundreds of feet down through with men on it, and everybody's just pinned down in the bottom. I like the mining disaster videos because it's like, that's one of the worst. That's one of the worst.
Job.
Being stuck down there, buried beneath the earth. And
even on a fantastic day in the mines, like that sucks. Like you're mining salt, the best day of the mines, like the pizza party, worst. Like I'd take any other job. I did see some scary stuff of those oil rig workers, so maybe I wouldn't. Actually, I'd prefer that. As long as I can see the sky, I'm in a better place than in a mine shaft.
Or I maybe I'd enjoy being an underwater welder. I feel like that'd be a cool gig.
You like scuba?
I haven't really done it. I always like other water things though. I've only done snorkeling and then scuba in a pool.
Have you scubaed, Richard?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like the ocean will fuck you up and humble you in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
like it's just, there's so many variables. You know what? It's one of those things. It's like skydiving. There was no way I was going to do it until I did a lot of research on it and realized what the variables were and all the incidents and most people that died, why they died, and all these other things. But man, there's so many variables in the ocean between you being not the top of the food chain to like, I don't know if maybe I psych myself out. Have you ever seen any of those like dives that people do in caves like Jacob's Well and stuff like that? They got to take their rig off.
Love that shit.
Through, dude.
It's so stressful.
Not my thing. I'll take all the snakes. Give me all the snakes in my pastures, please. Like, not
I'd become a snake guy. Before
I'd change my name to Snake.
Yeah.
I'm gonna incorporate snakes into my Tinder profile.
The snake Ryan.
It'd be so funny to be a snake guy who like has it on his shoulders, and every time it's slithering, I'm like, eh. I just love snakes.
It's better than scuba.
It's better than scuba.
Oh man, I just
the snake voice.
So have you done scuba and didn't like it?
Yeah,
or?
no, I'm certified. I actually have tanks. I have a couple of rigs. I just like, yeah, I do. Like, I spend most of my time shooting crap underwater, like cameras. I have a spear gun and stuff that I'd film high speed underwater and everything because I wanted to see like the bubbles and like the supercavitation effect underwater and everything. So I'd shoot guns underwater and everything. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm too ignorant to really embrace it.
You ever see the scene in The Abyss where they use the liquid oxygen to go super deep?
Yes.
That's so. I guess you can't below a certain depth. I guess you couldn't breathe.
Maybe it smushes you because you've air inside. You can only take so much pressure.
Something like that. Something because of the pressure, and also like the liquid mixture is much more oxygen dense, so it lasts longer. You could have a tank of liquid O2 mixture that would last for hours, I suppose. Versus,
is it different than nitrox?
I don't know what nitrox is. This stuff's pink. And in the movie The Abyss, they demonstrate it by putting a rat into the liquid solution. And you're watching the movie and you're like, wow, that looks real. It is real. The rat is breathing the liquid solution. It works.
That's got to feel so weird.
Yeah, the rats hate it. The reason the shots are so quick is because the rats shit themselves constantly while they're in the solution.
That's what I would do too.
Because they're terrified. I'd probably shit myself if you submerged me in the breathable pink liquid.
Yeah, they drown you.
Imagine
yeah.
a breathable liquid, like how hard it would be to move that liquid in and out of your respiratory system.
Yeah.
You would need a suit that worked kind of like a fighter pilot's pressure suit, the way that it squeezes your thighs to get the blood up here. You need something to help you with operate your
lungs,
your lungs, your whole system. It help you squeeze that stuff out and draw it in. That would be really hard.
So if you put your face in a vat of that and just like and breathed in and then like stood up and exhaled, it would like look like you were vomiting, like just pink goo exhaling.
I would really be vomiting.
It's not goo, it's liquid. It's very watery like. It's like the consistency of water. You could pull the clip up and like see
it's
the
like
rat
water.
breathing it.
I remember it being kind of syrupy.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm just like risk to reward. Like I could go hiking, or I could put a bunch of fucking pink goo in my lungs and walk at the bottom of the ocean and risk dying.
By the way, the
one
deep
is
sea
usually
dive,
one's better.
using it for
content.
humans to deep sea dive, I'm like is like science fiction, but it works on the rats. Is what I'm saying. Like in the movie, now they put it in William Hurt's fucking suit and they drown him, and he's like, oh, and then they send him down to the bottom to defuse a nuclear weapon. But
so we've never used this on people, really.
I'm sure they've used it on people. If they probably got pneumonia the next day. I think that's that's the main problem. Is when you put liquid into your lungs, you get pneumonia. So that's going to be an issue.
Okay, well, then that's another point in Richard's column of why. Like just go for a hike. We're terrestrial animals, and we are best on land. We suck in the water. We're not even like lower third in the water. We're bottom 1% of water dwelling creatures.
We're top tier for hominids. Like look at them motherfuckers. They drown right away. They fear the water. Orangutan sees you jump in the water. He thinks he writes you off right away. He think you might as well jump into lava as far as he's concerned.
Have you seen the clips of the gorillas like crossing a stream and they're doing their gorilla like quadruped walk, and then they get to the stream and they stand up like a person with like their gorilla paws up and they like across because they don't want to get their knuckles wet, and then they go back to it.
Funny.
Yeah, they don't like it any. I guess they like it way less than we do. All right, fine. We're the best of the bipedal apes.
I've seen the orangutan that washes itself with soap in the river because it had seen people do it in the river, and I saw the one that sweeps its enclosure. Not well, mind you. It's operating a broom though, for sure, on purpose. Yeah. It's doing what
hammers too. There's a David Attenborough clip.
Oh, that's sad.
David Attenborough's like, notice the way they can mimic human behavior. Lucy here is using a hammer because her handler Marcus was using one last week. And like you show Lucy doing it and she's holding it totally wrong. She's not even, the nail is like laid on a piece of board and she's just
there's no spark. There's no understanding of like, of why, what this is, why it is, what this is, why it is. She just knows that this.
Yeah. I saw someone do this, and I'm going to mimic that. Monkey see, monkey do. I don't know why he was doing it, and I don't know why I'm doing it. But the guy
and she really doesn't understand what he's doing either, because she has she's not putting the nail there. She's not hitting it. Like Planet of the Apes is not going to happen anytime soon, I don't think.
No, we dominate the other apes. Not even a contest.
Well, in Planet of the Apes, have you seen the new movie? I think there's like 4 or 5 of them now. But it started off with like a virus that I think made the apes smart and killed people or something. So there's like not as many people, but now you've got super smart apes. I think the new one's coming out soon. It's like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That CGI is good. Those apes look disturbingly real.
CGI is really good at everything but human faces.
I don't know about that, man. I watched that show, Masters of the Sky.
Please. How deep are you?
I watched the first episode last night.
Okay.
After we got off the show, I watched.
They're all the
first
same.
episode.
You've seen it.
I don't think that CGI is very good, and I expected more out of Apple TV, Tom Hanks, and Steven Spielberg.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be cut from the same cloth as Band of Brothers, which I get, from decades ago at this point. But still, I think I expect a lot. I don't know. Those B-17s look a little not real, but there's that one hotel where you're you're underwater in your room. Like your room is an underwater.
Sounds pricey.
And so like the windows are opening to like a fish tank, basically. You're in a fish. You're like that little house you put in the fish tank. You're in that house basically with your lady friend in some sort of fish tank hotel. I definitely saw that on the internet.
Yeah, I'm getting
or I dreamed
Submarine
it.
vibes. I'm good.
I could have dreamed it. That happens sometimes too.
Oh, I definitely am seeing this.
Have you seen those hotels
Condé
that are
Nast.
made out of ice?
Yeah, maybe in
Yeah.
Norway or something.
Sweden or Norway, Finland, something like that.
One of those cool countries where they haven't. Oh, look at that.
That is neat. I would be I'd have trouble sleeping there. I think I would be scared a little
I'd
bit.
never leave the room.
Really?
And let me see. Is that the one I'm thinking? Is that the first one I saw?
I like they got the floating, like-
$10,000 a night. You better not leave the room.
Oh,
God
yeah,
damn.
I'm not leaving.
Okay,
Dude,
so
you-
it's not
we-
that deep. I mean, you'd probably still die, but you wouldn't be crushed.
I mean, what if it just makes some pinholes though, Richard, and it just fills with water? It's not going to shatter and allow you to swim to the top. It's going to fill with water.
Yeah, and you're like those Chilean miners or whatever the fuck. where they're
Oh,
like,
don't
"We
even
can't get 'em
talk
out of
about
there."
that. That's awful. They left him in there. They left him in
did.
that pipe.
Mhm.
They didn't even
Wait, no, they
try.
got him out. They got him out in the end, right?
No. All right, here's what happened. They all got all these Chilean fucking welders or whatever, scuba welders fucking got sucked into this pipe because of a pressure change. And they're all broken up in there, broken arms and shit. But there's enough like air in the pipe, that they can lean up, and they're yelling down like Domingo's got a fucking broken leg and Mikey's head's bleeding. And like, but we're all like in sort of communication, and one of them gets out. And the company doesn't believe him that his friends are alive in the pipe. They're like, nobody could be alive in the pipe. And they don't rescue them. They let them die.
Oh shit!
No one could be alive in that pipe, Domingo. You must have hit your head. Had too much tequila last night, I suspect. Get on out of here. You're trying to get some workman's comp, probably. And they left those guys in there to die, and they fucking died.
Damn.
Jesus.
I had in my head that they had made a movie about this and that they had all gotten out safely.
I mean,
Gun to my head 3 minutes ago. That's how I would have told that story. Is like, oh, and then they got them out, and they were back to mining happily, doing their songs. I don't know. That's a pretty cool job, crane operator. If you're good,
is it?
and if you own a crane,
The only time you ever hear about a crane operator is when they fuck up and drop one in New York.
that's how
Or
good.
catch
they are,
on
man.
fire and die.
Yeah, does that happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking of the real high-rise ones. There's no
You
escape.
can't get out of there?
Your egress is
I'd have a
one way.
backup.
You have one way out. Yeah, you better base jump it or something.
I mean, at the very least, I'd have like a harness on that I could, maybe a cable that I could, a rope or something. I can lower myself down 30 feet
repel.
below the fire or something. At least get away from burning. I don't want to burn alive. That's like my number one fear, I guess. You could say, oh, I don't want to be buried alive. That's worse. It's like, yeah, but when is that going to fucking happen? You can get burned alive out here in traffic right now. Nobody's going to sneak in and bury you alive. Okay. When you can actually burn. I'd much rather drown, especially cold water.
Then be buried alive.
Freeze to death. I'm hearing is the move. You're cold for a while, which is uncomfortable, but we've all been really cold. And then you're just tired and you lay down and you ease into peace.
Yeah.
I bet like bullet back of the head unexpected is probably the absolute fastest way to go, right?
I think
Probably.
submarine implosion.
Submarine.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, well played. Okay.
Yeah, but you have like 2 hours leading up where you're just like, ah!
You're freezing cold. Yeah.
Scared to death. It's creaking.
You're like praying for death by the end. What a terrible way to go.
Those
that
sound
way.
like not even a good time. Like even if you don't implode, like if you see the insides of those things and you're like freezing cold and they're like, bring an iPod and we're gonna piss in that bucket over there if you need to.
Yeah.
That's the experience.
Don't kick the Mad Catz controller. Oh,
I was just gonna make a bad catch joke.
we're
Oh, they
gonna
hit the afterglow
die.
controller.
Blowing it. Try blowing in it.
that was the problem. Is somebody turned it off. They didn't have a memory card in. That's one of the sillier fucking news events of my life. I think I remember the balloon boy. That's a real old one. That's probably 15, 17 even years ago
What's
or
Balloon
something.
Boy?
What did he do?
Balloon boy is when. All right, so my remembrance of Balloon Boy, because I was younger, is that this family told everyone that their son had gotten into some balloon they had and floated off. They thought their son had ballooned himself away. And so this huge search went underway, looking for Balloon Boy up in the air. I saw the Balloon Boy. He floated over my dairy farm. He was just a squeak. He was hiding in the attic. He was hiding in the fucking attic the whole time. And it was this big, like, silly, goofy story for
No, he was hiding in a boat
days.
under a tarp. Remember?
Now that is the Zarnaev brother
Yeah.
From the Boston bombing, which is my favorite news event from my life. I was listening to like 3 different police scanner websites simultaneously while they hunted that guy down. That whole night was crazy.
I didn't follow it that close, but I do remember a lot of people online were like, "We got him! We found the bomber!" And it was like just some other long-haired guy who lived in the area.
Oh.
Yeah, because they got it wrong big time off the start.
I remember, I'm pretty sure I watched, or maybe it's just in my mind's eye from the story, but I've got the visual of him running his brother over because he was in the street and the one like tried to get away and crushed his brother. I think he'd already been shot once, but killed him. And then
remember that video.
He got away in the car, and then he was hiding under that boat tarp in somebody's bass boat. And they've got him surrounded with tanks and thermal imaging. And I still think they shot first.
Speaking of stupid ways to die, I'm scrolling through trying to remember all these ridiculous reality shows you've reviewed. We've talked about 1,000 Ways to Die, like briefly in the past. I remember like just stupid nonsense on that show where it would be like random electrical impulses, where it'd be like what they would do is they'd have like a couple key ways to die that would take up the main storyline, and then they would have like B storylines where it'd be like, meet Jackie Sparks, who was walking down his own driveway when he stepped on a live wire. What happened next is shocking. And it's like, no, it's not.
Literally is.
It's a pun.
And it's like, that was like a normal-ish way to die. You guys just needed 40 seconds. Like that's
they pumped out so many of those episodes. And Ron Perlman was the narrator, which that threw me off. Fucking Hellboy. I don't know if he just needed
going on
the check or what, but
that was pre Hellboy. So
That's
maybe things weren't going well. And that was pre
I don't know if it was like late
right?
2000s.
Oh, maybe
I feel like Hellboy's like a 2007 movie or something.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was like, that's why I was like surprised. I'm like, that Hellboy money isn't enough. You got to go to Spike TV.
I mean, he does a lot of the UFC voiceover work too. It's I think his voice adds a lot to it. Whenever I recognize the guy's voice, I kind of like, oh, they're doing this is a special event. This is real. I like that a lot when they hire a voice actor I know rather than just announcer man.
It's better than Mansers it sounds like the Offspring singer just talking. And it's just the most obnoxious voice you've ever heard in your life.
I remember there was a nature documentary that had Barack Obama doing the voiceover, and I really wanted to learn about the Bears, but I didn't want to hear shit from fucking Obama. And I was really at a crossroads in my life. I didn't know what to do.
Did he really do it? Is this real?
Yeah. It's on Netflix. There's a bunch of them, different celebrities, and I feel like Barack Obama does like, it's not Yosemite, but it's something like that. It's like Yosemite is one of America's most beautiful natural habitats.
That's a pretty good impression. Like. It also demonstrates why he frustrates me. The unnecessary pauses, bro, I'm not that compelled. Keep it along. Move it faster. Brock,
I've heard him do
speaker for me.
He has multiple speaking voices, though. You hear him in front of a black congregation. He leans into that. You hear him campaigning. Those pauses are important. I think he's trying to sell hope and change, right, for the first time in 2007. So he needs to draw you in. But later on, when he was just trying to make a fucking point in an interview, he moved it along. He cut all that shit out, and it's a slightly different. I was just listening to him speak today, like a new speaking of him today. That's a stupid way to phrase it, but he was talking about cynicism in the media or some shit. But I noticed that he didn't have his typical speak pattern.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Like plodding along with that nonsense.
The speech pattern, I pay a lot of attention to speech patterns. It's a thing I've been into for like 20, 30 years. And things that other people might love don't appeal to me at all. Barack Obama's one of those.
I know
like
that
the Obama,
really
like his cadence.
Yeah,
That
his
was very
cadence, the
popular.
pauses, it vibes a certain sense of self-importance to me, which turns me off. That's
what
what I get from
politician
the
do you
song.
think spoke like think about who's your best speaking politician, the one who you enjoy his speaking voice? Maybe not even what he's talking about, right? You're not his guy, but man, he it sounds good when he says it. Shifting gears a little bit. I'm looking at my little notebook of like things I noticed this week. There's a lot of I found a guy who died in Florida in a really shitty way. I guess pun intended. So this guy worked in a landfill. Okay, already like, just imagine this guy's life up until this point.
Terrible. Sounds awful.
This young man's job is working in a Florida landfill.
It's
And
probably hot.
probably even now in March, it's hot as fucking balls. Well, he was out there and he had to take a shit. And luckily for him, there was a porta potty. So he hops in the porta potty and starts taking a shit. And along comes his buddy in a bulldozer. And because he was heading like up a hill, the front of the bulldozer obscured his view. And he didn't realize that he was driving right over a porta potty. And so a bulldozer makes, it's just no match.
It makes short work of you. Yeah.
Short work of a porta potty and a man inside of it. That plastic just bends to its will because it's thousands of pounds. And so it just mushed him inside the porta potty. And what was inside must have been just a horrific scene. How did they separate him from everyone else's shit from that day?
It'd be impossible. He has his own shit in there too.
Impossible. There would be a mixture of man, porta potty, and shit. If that happened to me, just bury me whole. Just
bury me in the porta potty.
You back the bulldozer up and start piling dirt on top. Just leave me there. Don't look at what's in there. Don't open that door. That's not me at my best.
I would haunt the shit out of that guy.
I wouldn't want you to open that door if I was just taking a shit. I don't want you to see that. You don't need to see that. You don't have that image.
To see that.
I certainly don't want you to see me if I've been crushed while taking a shit. It's so awful.
And it's all your viscera mixed with the poo.
The poo and the landfill.
Yeah, it's well, that's like, this is the best place for it to happen.
It's the worst place for it to happen.
A landfill, you just kind of move it, right? You just kind of push him a little further, make a mistake further into the landfill.
It's not like you got to hose the area down. I suppose if that was your concern, there's no like cleanup per se.
Well, I was meaning if it happened like on a busy street.
Oh,
that would be worse. And at least it was landfill.
Yeah.
Well, that poor guy working a shitty job. He's already thinking, God, I fucking hate shitting in porta potties. This is the worst part of my day. But he didn't know.
Dude, what if he was taking a piss?
Oh, that would be even more tragic. Just like a 35-second window of death.
What if he had been like pissing behind some barrels, and they had been giving him shit about it? They're like going, and he's like, dude, it's just us dudes out here. Who cares? He's like, we're gonna get written up if that lady comes down again. And so like he's pissing in there because they hired Marge to like oversee the trash men because someone said there's no lady trash man. What about that? So they made like the head trash man for the region, making 6 figures a lady. So all these poor trash men that work all their. This is a made up scenario. None of this is true. But they were working under her heel, under her
you're
boot,
selling me, man.
Under her boot, and like poor Larry having to go in there and piss in that hot porta potty where it smells instead of behind the barrel like he's been doing for 27 years now, 3 years away from his big retirement, his pension, and
daughter just graduated from college,
and that young little that white trans girl that they hired recently with the fox ears to bull. She's driving the bulldozer.
Oh no!
And,
she's her vision's obscured by the fox ears.
Well, she has to sit kind of funny because of the butt plug, so she couldn't see over the front of the dozer. She's got the tail. She's got the fox tail in.
Sitting on her chair with like her ass.
It's part of her identity. Yeah, it's part of her identity. So she's allowed to wear it there at the job. But it prevents her from seeing over the top. So now, 3 years away from his pension, the fox boy has smushed him. While he's just taking a leak in there because everybody was. Meanwhile, butt plug hanging out, all day. Nobody says a peep because it's part of that person's identity. He should have made pissing behind barrels part of his identity. He should have identified as a dog man, hiked his leg. He'd still be alive.
He would be. He'd look silly, but it'd be worth it.
Tell you what, he looks real.
What looks silly is when you get smashed into a poo capsule by your friend in a bulldozer.
But it looks like if you took a Lego and squished a frog with it. And then,
like I can imagine, like the guy drives over it. Do you think immediately he's like, I pray there was no one in there, or do you think you can see the amount of like popping a gusher? Remember when you used to like suck on a gusher until the thin walls and then it would pop in your mouth? Like that.
Fuck, I don't know. He would definitely know he was hitting it unless he was in a huge piece of machinery, like just the little crumpling noises and there's a little bit of a bump no matter what it is. Like I've driven big dozers and big like tracos and stuff, but like if it's got tires.
That fucking sucks.
But on tracks, it's like I don't know. I like to imagine that like the guy died quickly, but there's no way he did.
He died over the course of like 4 or 5 seconds of sheer terror.
He died the way he lived.
Shitty.
Terrified and amongst filth.
Yeah. I hate like stories like that are like deaths that don't mean anything and that are totally avoidable. Like accidents like that are so sad where it's just like you're like someone's life. Like they had thoughts and feelings and aspirations and ideas and it's just calm down. Accident for 2 seconds gone.
I mean, calm down. He was a garbage man.
He had ideas about how to collect. He had ideas about how to collect the garbage, how to dispose of the garbage, how to move the garbage.
Let's not act like they had Leonardo da Vinci in the shitter out at the Route 30 dump. Okay.
Well, who knows? We've all seen films about the genius janitor.